Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
On today's episode, we finally got to Civil War. Not the American Civil War, but the the comic book event, Marvel Civil War.
One of the biggest events, probably.
Yeah, and this one holds a special place in my heart because this is like when I was at the comic book store. This was the first event that happened, like when I started working there and stuff. So there's a lot of buzz around this. It was very popular.
Yeah. This is right back when I got into reading comics, so.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like really popular though. Like everybody was reading this when I worked at the store, and everybody thought it was good too. That was the other thing. Like, not a lot of people were like, this is shit or whatever. So, I'm sure there were some that didn't like it and maybe don't like it as much, as they did back then or something. But I was pleasantly surprised that it held up as good as it did.
Oh, yeah. Especially having all of the Marvel movies now. Like, I remember when the movies were coming out being like, oh, I think I remember these differences, and that's cool the way they went. And then now rereading this was like, oh, I don't remember half of what I thought I knew. Like, this is a great read.
Yeah, and it was self-contained. I did not need to read any side stories or any other issues besides the 7 issues of this main series to understand what was going on.
Which is funny because how I remember there was like every hero had a tie-in series to this. So there was like, what, 20, 30 ongoing series?
Yeah. More than that. Whatever every comic that had that since every superhero is in this, every title had its own Civil War title or tie-in or whatever.
I know I had a couple. I did the Cap line, obviously, because Cap's my favorite superhero.
Yeah.
And then I had Iron Man and Spider-Man. I had a couple, but this was,
So I had the Punisher and I had Cap because I was already reading Cap for like the whole run before this. So I just, it was just Cap 23 or whatever, like it just continued. So, but for those of you who don't know, this is an event that happened, like we said, for Marvel in 2006. It was 7 issues long. It was written by Mark Miller or Millar, depending on how you say it, I guess. And then art by Steve McNiven, who is a fantastic artist. I mean, the art in this book is amazing. And I mean, like, when you do an event book, this is how it should be. Like, you have an A-list writer and A-list artist giving it their all, and in a story that you don't have to have 1,000 tie-ins to fully understand. Like, when we read Infinity Gauntlet, there was a lot of stuff that I'm like, I have no idea what's going on with this, why they introduced this plot line. I mean, I guess it's probably happening in another series that we're not reading as part of this, main event. So, whatever. I don't know. I guess they threw that in there for that. Like there's a lot of like unanswered things, things left just hanging or whatever.
I think it's smart. They want, they're trying to pull in those people that were only like just getting into movies to hopefully start.
But the movies weren't even a thing yet. Iron Man came out in 2007.
That's true. It's trying to reach a little more broader audience.
I guess. But this to me was them trying to make good comics. Who cares about the movie stuff right now? Like we don't even have a movie universe. We're trying to make good comics. So, and like this came off of I guess there's an event before it called House of M. That's like when the Scarlet Witch says like no more mutants because she was like going crazy or something, and she like makes the world not have mutants anymore or something. Like she changes reality. So it's like a big event that happened. And that happened. I remember being at the store, like when I went to buy All-Star Superman for the first time or whatever. Like the first time I went back into a comic store, and I saw like all this House of M stuff. I'm like, I don't know what that means. And so I remember seeing it. So it was like a couple years before. This wasn't when Marvel had an event every year or multiple events every year. This was maybe every 3 to 5 years there's an event or something, and we're going to make it real good. And it's going to be fun, and people are going to like it. And, so this specifically, like we said, was written by Mark Miller, and he he said the story is this. He says it's a story where a guy wrapped in the American flag is in chains as the people swap freedom for security. So if you've seen the third Captain America movie, that's called Civil War, and that has a similar-ish storyline where the government is like, hey, the fallout from all these things, and specifically in this, it's the fallout from House of M and Avengers Disassembled event that happened and Decimation, which are all prior events where I guess people died. They had like high casualties or whatever. People, like regular humans, are like, this has to stop. Like superheroes should be registered. And so that's kind of what it's about. Is should superheroes be registered or not? And the heroes split on either side of that and fight each other, kind of based on that. And in this one, what happens is actually way more hard hitting, I think, than like Sokovia or whatever happened in Captain America: Civil War, right? Wasn't it that like Ultron?
Yeah, Ultron started the big, basically the Sokovia Accords, and they were like, oh well, superheroes need to fall in line with the government.
Yeah,
and Cap's like, well, what if they want to send us where we do?
Yeah. This one was more like
it was definitely more
hard hitting. Yeah, and so in this one, there's like a reality TV show being filmed, and that's how it starts, issue 1. And like the New Warriors, who is comprised of superheroes I didn't know about, named
Speedball.
Yeah, Speedball, Night Thrasher, Namorita, and Microbe. So they're like up and comers, I guess. You know, they're like kid superheroes, and they're on this reality TV show that's been following them around. I guess kind of like Cops or something, and they're scoping out some bad guys that they've just found at like. Who are supposed to be like B-list villains that aren't really that big.
Some more like Coldheart, Cobalt Man, Speed Freak, and Nitro. I was like, okay.
I've never heard of them. So they're talking to the camera, and they're like getting ready to like approach the house where they're all staying at. And I guess this house is in a weird area. It's like a house.
It's like a suburban house.
It's like an urban house because it's in the middle. Isn't it like next to like a school? And when it blows up, it's like in the middle of the city. So it's like, like it seemed like it was like pretty, pretty not like in the middle of the inner city, but like not on the outskirts of town or something, like not 20 miles away from downtown. And so they're talking and they're like, okay, we're gonna approach in a couple minutes or whatever, and then all of a sudden, one of the bad guys goes to take out garbage, and she looks over and sees them like there filming, and she's like, they're here or whatever, like they're gonna get us or whatever. And then the bad guys start freaking out, and then Speedball's like, oh time to get them, they already saw us. So they all the heroes, all the New Warriors go on the attack. They start fighting them, and Speedball, right? Speedball starts fighting Nitro specifically, and he's getting all these like quippy lines in while he's fighting, and they're like, hey, the film crew's like, hey, we missed that last thing, can you repeat it like when you punch him this time? And then what they didn't know is that Nitro apparently can explode and do like really big explosions. And so Speedball like pushes him into a bus, and then Nitro's like, you picked the wrong fucking bad guys to mess with, because like we're not some little kid TV show like fake guys, like we don't fuck around. And then he's like, and he like powers up, and he just like atomic bomb level,
and it's a huge crater that this creates.
Yeah, and like I said, they were right next to a school, so all those kids died. All of the New Warriors died except I think, who was it? Speedball. He doesn't die, but everybody else dies. and then I think all the other villains died too. And so there's like this giant, like, oh my God, from like the regular humans and the news and everybody, understandably, because it's super fucked up that happened.
Yeah, it says like the reporting is like 800 to 900 kids died, and
oh no, it said 600 people.
600 people?
Yeah,
oh.
That's what I read at least. Maybe there was casualties.
Maybe they said overall was they were guessing.
That was in mine. That was mine was from Wikipedia when I went to look up how many people died. So maybe yours is more accurate.
That's cool. I think the news always, they say fudges numbers, and I'm sure they do it in the thing.
That's
too,
right.
like,
the news, the fake news, always fudging numbers, and so even in 2006. And anyway, yeah. So like the next scene, they're at the funeral for all these kids, and Tony Stark's there, and he's like goes up to some mom, and he's like, "Sorry for your loss, ma'am," and she like spits on him, and she's like, "Don't you dare talk to me about my loss or whatever. Like it's you people who caused it, and like you should be thrown in jail and whatever, all this stuff." And so basically that's what starts it. Is Tony Stark is like, there needs to be something like a law that we
need to have some kind of check.
yeah, like we need to be a government agency basically that has oversight, and who would be against that? It just makes sense, right? Superheroes need to have oversight, and so because they're super, and who would be against that would be Captain America. So so like all basically the like we said, the heroes start to like bring this up, and it starts to become a thing like in law, and that mom specifically, she's in this comic a bit, and she pushes this law to be like put in place federally that says like, okay, you have to be registered to be a superhero, and you have to have training.
You have to tell the government your secret identity.
Yeah, you have to reveal your secret identity to them, and they should have to be able to keep tabs on you. And then eventually it becomes like we're gonna have like an initiative where every state has a certain, instead of having like Avengers in New York and that covers the whole America, it's like, or the whole world. Like you have every state of America is gonna have their own super team, and they'll cover that state or whatever, and then they're registered and whatnot. And understandably, all the like street level heroes, kind of like Daredevil, Luke Cage, I'm assuming Moon Knight, but he wasn't really in this. The Punisher, obviously. All of those guys that are like fighters on the street, they don't go for this. They're like, no. And especially like anyone who had secret identities for like a reason, like Peter Parker is the one that everybody thinks about secret identity wise. So but like and he actually at first he doesn't know where he wants to go, but then he gets talked into going on the side of the government.
He will, but it's getting crazy. Like Johnny Storm is like just out partying one night, and he goes to a nightclub, and like he gets a cut in line in front of everybody because he's Johnny Storm and the player guy. And the people get so angry at him, like, what do you get to? You're a baby killer, basically. And he's like, whoa, I didn't have anything to do with those stupid heroes. They're not, they're C-list heroes. I'm an A-lister.
Yeah.
I would never let something like that happen. And the people just go crazy, and they beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, someone like hits him in the back of the head with a glass bottle, and it knocks him down, and then they just start beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, it was crazy. And
so like the normal public, the general public are
it's definitely like there are tensions all over. There's tensions in the hero community and definitely outside because people are tired of seeing innocent civilians die. And I mean, right. Everybody has a point in this for sure.
Right. And so, like we said, the government's like, okay, this is going to happen. And it hasn't happened yet. Like, it hasn't gotten into law.
No.
But, Captain America, he's hearing about it on the news. And he's standing in S.H.I.E.L.D. And apparently at this time, Nick Fury has gone underground, so he's not a thing right now. And there's a new person in charge.
It's Maria Hill. Or Mariah Hill? It's Hill.
Hill. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember how to say her first name. But yeah, so she's like the acting head of S.H.I.E.L.D. And she's definitely like gruff and seemingly against Cap in this. She's very much like, this is happening, Cap, so like you're gonna help us, right? Like,
yeah. And if you read this and you don't think about it, it kind of seems out of nowhere where she's like being like so anti-heroes or whatever. But it makes sense if you think about it. Like she's a deep state, government thing, like the CIA or like the NSA, and for them to not have superheroes barging in whenever they're doing stuff makes sense because they're like, oh, we'll probably get more funding ourselves and we'll get more credit ourselves and, that kind of thing. So it makes sense that she wouldn't want heroes to be, as big as they are. And so
Cap's like, I don't think so. Cap calls it. He's like, this is going to split the heroes down the middle and cause a war. Like, this is not a good thing. And Hill's like, well, guess we can pick up the stragglers, Cap, and you're helping us, right?
Yeah, and then he's like, kind of looks, and he's like, I don't know. And she's like, what? And then all of everybody on the like deck of the helicopter, or the what is it?
The helicarrier.
Helicarrier is like like they all start like, oh, Cap's gonna do something, and like the law's not even passed, so I don't know what the fuck they're freaking out about, but yeah, like then all of a sudden she's like, you better be with us or whatever. He's like, well, then I guess you're gonna have to do something about it, and then, like they all start like firing like tranquilizers at him. Some really cool panels of them like trying to get Captain America. And he like picks one guy up and like and uses him as a shield, and that guy gets like 40 tranquilizers in him. So he's probably dead, I would imagine, from you take enough tranquilizers to the back or whatever.
Especially because it's supposed to be tranquilizers for like a superhero.
For Cap, yeah. So enough to knock out an elephant 60 times, probably kills a human. But yeah, like so he takes that and then he jumps out of the helicopter or the helicarrier and
he jumps onto he rolls around and then jumps onto like a plane that's taking off, and he's like, just keep flying, son, or whatever. Yeah,
he like punches through it and like grabs the guy, and the guy's like, oh, and he's like, just you better fly if you care about landing safe or whatever. Yeah, so he escapes like that, and that's where he goes like underground, and so from that, like any heroes that were kind of on the fence that were more on Cap's side kind of start to try to find him so that they can join him.
Yeah, and Tony starts working at the White House basically, and is like, we're going to take care of this. We'll take care of Cap and the other heroes. You just get the Registration Act. No,
just get it passed. We're good. So they go to that, and it does pass eventually. And also, another a big surprise is the three heads of the government side are Iron Man, who's kind of heading up the political aspect of it, and then you have Reed Richards and Hank Pym, who are like doing all the behind the scenes, even more shadier shit.
Oh yeah,
like if it's just the government doing it, they wouldn't have the resources to do what the superhero people are doing.
Yeah, so Reed Richards is working on secret projects for Tony, and Hank's helping with that, and Hank's doing some other stuff too.
Yeah, and what they're doing is like, so Hank Pym on his side, they're like cloning superheroes that are dead or missing, and like combining them with robots basically, so that you have like a superhero that looks like.
They kind of made me think Terminator a bit, like.
Yeah, but with superpowers.
Yeah.
And so like they're making this like secret army of superheroes that will do the government's bidding, that look like past heroes that have died. Like they have one of Captain Marvel. They have one, I guess, I don't know if Thor was dead or missing at this time in the comics, but he was one of the big ones that they cloned. And then on the other side you had Reed Richards, who was making like a super prison for everybody to like be in. And it's in the end zone, which is like the what's that one? What's it called in
the
Superman?
Oh, kind of like the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, it's like the Phantom Zone, where it's like that. It's just another dimension where you can put bad guys. But unlike the Phantom Zone, it's all like built out because they're building like a prison in there basically.
Yeah.
And
they've obviously been working on this for a bit.
Yeah, and so they have like all this, kind of, I don't know. It seems like they're like deviously thinking about all this stuff, and like even more so than the government was. So they're like way into this, and they're really like doubling down on everybody's going to obey what we're talking about or not.
Yeah, Stark still seems like he has a little reservation because he's talking with Happy, and he's like, "Are we really doing the right thing?"
You could tell he's just trying to do the right thing. Oh, that's the other thing. So he's trying to do the right thing, and what seems to be happening, especially later on in the comic, is that fucking mom of the kid who died.
Yeah, she keeps popping back up.
And it seems like she's manipulating him. Like she's like, "Thanks for caring about my dead son, Tony. Remember my dead son?"
Yeah, it's almost like every time she pops up, she's like, "Hey, Tony, my dead son. Remember him?" And
then he gets like reaffirmed in his, what he's doing. And I thought that by the end of this comic, she was going to be revealed to be some evil force or some shit, but. Spoiler, they did not reveal that. They just ended on with her, and him on a happy note or whatever, or like a...
an interesting note.
Yeah, an
For
interesting.
sure. But yeah, didn't know no crazy reveal.
Yeah, and so and then also Spider-Man surprisingly joins the government side because Tony knows everybody likes Spider-Man, and then also but he's like one of the ones that's masked because he's got Mary Jane to protect. He's got Aunt May, and then he's had past loves die. When people find out who he is or who they are, and so he's got his reservations about it. But Tony somehow convinced him that they'll be fine, and I guess it's just like we'll protect him, but like how? I'm sure there's a bad guy that'll figure it out, but I don't know. Somehow they convince Spider-Man that he's they're protected. So Spider-Man does like a press conference and is like, "Hey everybody, it's me." And this was funny. So like Jonah J. Jameson is like, "Finally, that fucking Spider-Man prick's gonna show us who he is, and then I'll get him." And they're like, "Where's Parker?" It's like, "I don't know. He's somewhere else.
He's out of town.
He's out of town. He's on vacation or some shit." And then when he pulls off his mask, he's like, "Hey, I'm Peter Parker. I'm like,
I've been Spider-Man since I was 15.
Yeah, and then J. Jonah Jameson just like passes out.
Yeah, he falls at his desk.
It was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome.
That was funny.
But yeah, so like that was a fun reveal, and then so like now you get people like they're starting to actually round up these superheroes that are like that are underground, like the Young Avengers or no, the Young Avengers.
Yeah,
the Young Avengers. Yeah. The Young Avengers, which is like Hulkling, Patriot, some other superheroes. I have never read Young Avengers, so I don't know who they are.
This next part is basically, it's like some of the heroes are going out, and it's either that you're going to join, or if you're still playing hero and you're not, then you're going to get rounded up.
Yeah, or you can quit. You know, either one. So
yeah, because like Reed goes to Wakanda, and Reed's like, "Hey, Black Panther, you got this lots of cool tech and stuff. Like, it'd be great if you joined our side." Like, and he's like, as Black Panther pretty much always is like, why are we don't want to meddle in like outworld affairs, just like we don't want you to meddle in Wakanda affairs. So hard pass.
Yeah. Also, this like seems to be an American thing too.
Yeah.
Like in this specifically, obviously the Avengers do world stuff, but like it's an American law.
Yeah.
It's not a world law. So yeah, it'd be weird if Wakanda joined, but they don't. And then also he goes to the X-Men, who are now being watched by Sentinels at their gates, which is super fucking terrifying. And this is the first time also we said, I've never seen like a person manning a Sentinel, but there's like actual guys inside that are like controlling the big robots outside of the X mansion. And so that was interesting to see.
Yeah.
And like Wolverine's like, "I don't like you, bub." And he's like, "Just doing my job, Wolverine," like sitting in his cockpit of the Sentinel. So that was interesting. But the Tony goes to recruit the X-Men, and they're like, "Nah, we're sitting this out. Like, it's just gonna be us. Like at the school, we're not gonna get involved with anybody." So the X-Men aren't really in it. We learned also that Storm is not in the X-Men, so she actually does join. She like, I guess at this time
she had married Black Panther.
Yeah, and she was actually like, I guess it does. She shows up right at the
because later with Black Panther she's with him, but
that's right.
But yeah, she's not part of the X-Men right now. It's like Cyclops, Emma Frost is part of the X-Men right now. She's like good right now.
Yeah.
Wolverine. I'm trying to think of the main ones you see.
Yeah, that's the main one you see. You also see Bishop, but he does join.
Yeah, Bishop's like, "Hey, Stark, I think that this is a good idea." Blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
Which is weird because he's from the future, so you'd think he would know what happened. But maybe it's a different timeline.
That's true. With all that, who knows?
But whatever.
And Doctor Strange goes into hiding.
Yeah.
Or not hiding, sorry. He goes to like a North Pole sanctuary, and he's going to fast because he's not going to pick a side either. He's like...
Right. He's like, I could end this in like a whisper if I wanted or whatever. Like with... He could be the ultimate, ender of this battle or whatever.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Basically he just goes up there and stays, and like I think the Watcher visits him a couple times.
Yeah, the Watcher appears in this, and they're just like, "Hey, we're watching stuff."
Yeah, I think Doctor Strange is like, when the Watcher comes, that's not a good thing because they're recording major events. So yeah. I'm just gonna go, peace.
Yep. So there's a couple people that sit out, and then the ones who join Cap are like we said, the kind of underground or like the street level heroes. So there's Daredevil, Luke Cage,
Some bigger ones, Hercules.
Hercules, yeah. Who, I mean, I never really read any of his comics, but you know, he was kind of a big person in this. And then
Goliath.
Yeah, Goliath, who is, if you haven't heard of him, he basically grows really big. So he kind of looks like Mr. Terrific from DC, but not 100%, but like same like colors or whatever.
Okay.
And then, but he grows big like Ant-Man.
Like when Ant-Man grows big.
Oh yeah, and Pym is in this, but he's in his yellow jacket suit, which is weird looking.
Yeah, unless you're up on those stories, usually you would think of him as only Ant-Man. But the character of Yellow Jacket, he also portrays is not like, there was a time where Yellow Jacket was a villain, but also like because there's so many.
Yeah, in the movie, Yellow Jacket is the villain's name, but it's the name of the suit actually.
Yeah,
and so he's just wearing the Yellow Jacket suit, but he's still a good guy.
But he's a good guy, yeah. And it
good
is
guy, in quotation marks.
Hank Pym who is Yellow Jacket in this.
Yeah, and so yeah, like it shows. This is a funny scene. Like Captain America is meeting up with Goliath and Daredevil and Hercules, and they're all like they have to be undercover now, so they all got little costumes on, and like Cap has like a mustache and he looks like a cop or something, and then like everybody else has a weird.
He's like, I'm an IT guy.
Yeah, yeah. They're all saying they're like fake names and aliases, and also like Captain America, he's been able to go underground so well and hide from the government because basically Nick Fury has given him like the keys to all these like safe houses
that only Nick Fury had access to.
Yeah, so Nick Fury only knew about these, and then I guess Cap, like he told Cap because he trusts Cap so much, and Nick Fury only know about these things. So he's like, Nick said we could use these, so like that's why we're able to like start a second Avengers down here or whatever, the underground Avengers.
Yes, the underground or secret Avengers.
Yeah, and so, so yeah, like he's got these guys, and then they get a call, and it's like, oh my God, there's like something's happening at this like chemical plant, and it's gonna blow. So they're like, oh, okay, like we should all head over there, and he gets all his buddies and everything all the other heroes that are helping them to go to this area because it's supposed to be like a giant fire and like a big thing. So all the underground heroes all go to this one area, and then we find out it was a trap.
Yep, it's Stark owned the area.
It's a trap, and and yeah, they even see like, oh, part of this, like this building says like Stark Industries on it. Like, oh shit, and then of course everybody shows up and like, hey, we don't want to fight or anything. But like, and Stark like reaches out his hand to Cap. He's like, let's just shake on it, and you're fine. Yeah. Like you can have immunity. There's no one's done anything really yet except just say I don't want to be part of your team. So like, just shake hands. And
I love Spider-Man's like, yeah, Cap, everything will be great.
Yeah, and then and he shakes his hand. He's like, you know what, Tony, you're right. And he shakes his hand, and then like Tony like looks at his hand. There's like a device on it, and he like starts electrocuting him. And so yeah, then they start fighting, and all this shit happens. Everybody's just going at it. It's kind of like just a giant free for all. And in this, oh man, the suit that Spider-Man has in this is so cool. It's like this Tony Stark one that he gave him that has
the Iron Spider. Yeah,
the Iron Spider, where it's got like the same colors as Iron Man, like red and gold, and then it's got like arms, like extra arms that come out and like fight too. So it's kind of like in the movie when he goes into like death mode or whatever, and he like protect Peter Parker and like and like it just starts fighting for him and stuff. So it's like helping him fight a lot, and they're all taking on everybody. And man, Captain America, he's taking his licks from Tony. Once Tony like gets back up from that electrocution, Tony Stark's like, man, fuck you, and he just starts beating the shit out of Cap. Like, I told you, I wanted to do it a different way, but now, like,
yeah.
And like Cap's just looking at him like it was kind of like where he's like, I could do this all day, or like if he had said that, it would have been funny. But yeah. He's taking it hard, and then all of a sudden
everybody but Cap is kind of getting an upper hand, but then it basically there's a big crack and splash of lightning, and obviously the tides are about to turn because boom, Thor shows up.
Yeah, and he's on the government side, but everybody's like, I thought he wasn't here anymore or whatever. Like I thought he was. I don't remember if he was supposed to be dead or if he's just gone.
Yeah,
I think he's supposed to be gone. So like I thought Thor was gone somewhere.
The splash page where Thor shows up was absolutely
is
badass,
badass.
though.
Yeah, and it's weird. He's got like he kind of has his Ultimates suit, you know, where he's got the discs.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like I think because Mark Millar also wrote the Ultimates comic, which is like the Avengers, but like in the Ultimate Universe. Like he kind of brought some of that into this, so a little bit, but yeah, the Thor shows up and he's just like a badass, and everybody's like, "What the fuck?" And he's taking everybody on.
But he was really aggressive too, because
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the normal Thor.
no, he's like basically surrender or die,
Right,
it's like,
and also
whoa.
we like as the reader, you don't know that Thor is what we already told you, which he's a robot, and so like it was a big surprise. Like, oh wait, you know, Thor's gone, but here he is. That's weird. Why is he acting so odd and saying like you're gonna die and all this stuff? So he's fighting.
He's beating the crap out of people.
Yeah, he's beating the crap out of people, and he starts fighting Goliath, and Goliath, you know, is like giant size, and he's like, "I'll take him on," and he like goes to hit him, and Thor just like choof, and shoots like a bolt of lightning through his chest and kills him.
Yeah,
So Goliath fucking dies. And like falls down. He's like 50 feet taller. He just falls down. Like, and then all the heroes like, oh my fucking god! Like one of ours just got killed by someone else. That's one of ours. Like this is a big bad thing, you know. And even like, so like we said, Reed Richards was on the government side, or is on the government side, and all the Fantastic Four were as well. But after seeing that, Sue Storm, who was kind of on the fence more than Reed was, is like, no, I'm on their side. So she,
yeah. Basically, they're gonna try to teleport out, and Thor's about to like, no, you're not, to shock them again, and because Cable's gonna help them teleport.
yeah,
out.
Cable's their teleporter. So
And so Sue like jumps on that side and puts a force field around them to stop Thor's lightning. Is like, get out of here, you guys.
yeah, she like saves them from Thor like killing them all basically, or at least damaging them a lot. And so then it's like this whole like what the fuck thing, you know?
Yeah.
And
that's where we find out, because Reed's like is like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, and he's like he says some kind of code, and you see Thor's face kind of just go into like a solemn like and you're like, oh crap, like that's not really Thor.
yeah. And they're like, we got to work out that kink, you know, like they're shouldn't about Goliath, but like shouldn't have fought us or whatever, you know, kind of thing. It was pretty fucked up how they like kind of brushed that under the rug a little bit.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so she this is one of the interesting things. We kind of talked about this a little bit before, but man, Sue Storm in almost every comic that I've read, like any storyline from Fantastic Four, even the one we did here, 1, 2, 3, 4, that episode, Sue is always just like, I'm unsatisfied with my marriage to Reed.
Not even just that. It's that Reed is always either is too busy to pay attention to her, or doing something that's like really messed up and like gonna hurt other people.
Yeah.
But she's like so in love, blindsided by him, that eventually it's gonna be okay, and she may like have some time off from Reed, or may leave for a bit or something, but eventually they'll get back together. And it's like, yeah, it's like literally Reed helped create fake superheroes.
Yeah,
and
like
it killed
clone gods that murder other superheroes.
Yeah, like friends of theirs
that are under control from the government. I'm assuming on some level.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like a good idea.
Yeah, and yeah, so it's
it's weird. She decides like, oh, I'm gonna write a note and I'm gonna like leave the kids with you so that they have like a normal life and they're not on the run. But like, I can't be with you. She writes a note that she's even like, you're horrible. You ignore me. You blah blah blah. And then at the end, she's like, I love you so much, though. You know, whatever.
Fix all of this.
Fix all of this. Love Sue or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, man, you need to fucking leave that chump. Go fuck Namor or whatever. Just, have a fling with him. Then go, like, kick some ass on your own, you know? Like, I want to see that. And maybe it's written. I don't know. I haven't seen
That's true. I want to see, one where she leaves him and is, like, a strong, independent woman, and, like, Sue Storm is a badass.
Yeah. It would have been great if they did that on like the Ultimate line, because that's the place to do it, because Ultimates is a different universe, so we can do whatever we want, But whatever. There's definitely some like if you're gonna have storylines that kind of like modernize the Fantastic Four, well, what's the more modern family than like one with divorce in it and stuff? You can even have them get back together, like maybe they're back in love but they're not married or something, later on. But like you can have that rift happen because like that happens in real life or whatever, and especially when you throw things in there that make her like not happy with her husband and he doesn't give a fuck or whatever. It seemed like they could do something like that.
He too busy.
Yeah, I guess so.
And even even Spider-Man in this is like, whoa, did we pick the wrong side?
Yeah, this is where he's like maybe I did the wrong thing, and so like everybody's kind of rethinking stuff except like the main heads of this, like Tony and
Reed and Hank.
Pym are like, no,
it's fine.
It's fine.
Everything's fine.
This stuff, it's their fault. If they didn't fight us, we're doing the right thing, not them. So they're morally justified because they're on the right side of whatever. So
yeah, they have Glass funeral.
Yeah, and he's got to be buried in like a fucking giant like Olympic swimming pool sized grave because he didn't have time to shrink down before he died. And so yeah, that's super fucking weird. Whatever.
Yeah.
But
and Tony's like feels better, but he's like, I paid for the funeral. So
yeah, of course I paid for the funeral.
Yeah,
I paid for the size of the grave and everything
because of the circumstances, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah, and so man, I fucking hate Tony Stark in this. But so then another thing we find out that the government is doing with Tony Stark and everybody is they hire the Thunderbolts and other bad guys to fight on their side because obviously they were unregistered. The bad guys were, and they don't want to be part of the bad guys necessarily. But the Thunderbolts are like the Suicide Squad of Marvel. And so in this, the Thunderbolts are Venom, Taskmaster, and
Bullseye,
Lady Deathstrike,
Jack-O-Lantern. There's a couple other smaller Spider-Man villains.
And basically they're like, we want to be on the good guy side because we get to fight heroes that we fucking hate, And so pretty much after the Spider-Man or after the Goliath dies, Spider-Man kind of like goes rogue, or he's not answering his phone calls and shit and whatnot.
Basically, like he's doing some stuff with Mary Jane and Aunt May, and Reed Richards is kind of like something not right going on here, and eventually he tells Tony, he's like, I can't do this.
Yeah, and so he leaves, but he's still Spider-Man or whatever. He's still got a suit or whatever. And so they send, I guess someone sends, I don't remember who sends the Thunderbolts after him.
Tony and him fight a little bit, but then Spider-Man gets away, and Tony's like, let me talk to him, and they're like, nah, you already tried, Tony. It's out of your hands.
That's
Hill.
That's where it's Shield. Yeah, Maria Hill from Shield is like, no, Tony, fuck you. We're gonna send the Thunderbolts in. So this, see, the government is fucking taking over shit. And so so they send the Thunderbolts, the people who have fought Peter Parker like all his life, to find him, and he's like running in the sewer.
Everything will be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be great. I mean, I'm sure they'll listen to every order we give him and not kill him or anything. And they're like, hell yeah. So Jack-O-Lantern and someone else, I don't know, one of the other guys.
I'm trying to remember. It was like, not the Tinkerer. It was somebody had toys.
Whatever. They might have, the Trickster.
Trickster, that's right.
They go after him, and they're in the sewers chasing him down, and they're like beating the fuck out of him, and they're like, well, looks like we're gonna kill him on accident, and we'll just tell him, it was he wouldn't stop or whatever. Like they're fine killing him, of course. And then while they're like doing that, they're about to like basically kill Peter Parker. All of a sudden, their head, like Jack-O-Lantern's head, explodes, and you see like bullets going into the Trickster, and all of a sudden you see the Punisher.
Spider-Man's like fainting. He's like, "Hey, it's Skull Guy."
Yeah. And so the Punisher saves Peter Parker, and obviously none of the other heroes like the Punisher because he murders people, right? So they're like, he's not a hero. Punisher's fucking awesome, by the way. So, but so he takes Peter Parker to one of the, I guess he knows where the underground base is or whatever, and so he takes him there.
And Sue and Johnny comes with Sue.
Yeah, after Sue leaves, she's like, "Hey, Johnny, you're with me, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." So they also go and find. I guess I don't remember how they find it, but they know
They
where
figure,
this is.
yeah.
They follow someone there or something. So they find the base too, and then everybody is mad when the Punisher shows up. They're like, "What? We're not fighting alongside this guy, are we?" And everybody's like, "He's fine, I guess, right now. We got to use him for some stuff." So Cap does not like that the Punisher's on their side. That's kind of like their, and it doesn't strike me like this, but it's the like, the bad taste in the mouth on either side, right? You have the Thunderbolts on the government's guys' side that you're like, how could they do that to them? And then on the free heroes or whatever, the secret Avengers, you have the Punisher, who's a bad guy for all intents and purposes because he murders people. But to me, I'm like, nah, there's not even a line there. So
Punisher's always his own man anyway. So
yeah, and he's just like, I just want to kill bad guys. So I'm not gonna kill like superheroes necessarily or whatever, but these bad guys, he's just mad that like all of a sudden bad guys are like now government agents and they're allowed to like track people down and shit.
Yeah,
whatever.
he's not okay with that. So Spider-Man gets help, and then Daredevil's like out on a mission, and Daredevil gets captured, and Daredevil gets taken to the prison. Daredevil didn't get saved; he gets taken to the prison.
Yeah,
and it was a cool thing. Is he like flips Tony like a little coin while they're
no. They're like, he hasn't talked at all since we got him, and the two guys bringing him out are like, oh, hold on a second, he like this was in his mouth. They search him before they put him in the cell.
That's right.
And they're like, what is this? It's like a piece of silver, and they give it to Tony. And it's like a silver coin, and then Daredevil's like, fucking Judas, like you goddamn Judas.
That's right.
And so yeah, he calls him Judas, which is pretty awesome.
One of your pieces of silver, Judas.
Yeah, and so fantastic call there, and and then so then this was a funny moment too. So they're all around, like all the secret Avengers are around this big table talking about what they're gonna do next and stuff.
And right before they get back to they break into the Baxter building.
Oh, that's right. So they're trying to like figure out the next move of people, and they actually, this is where they use the Punisher the most.
Yeah,
is where they're like, Captain America's like, I got something we can use the Punisher for, because he was special ops and stuff, so he knows all this stuff. So they have the Punisher break into the Baxter building, get all these files on Thor and Pym and like what's going on with making these superheroes.
They found out about the prison that way.
Yeah, they found out where the prison is and what it is and all that. And so when they get back, then like they're like, good job, everybody, and maybe this Punisher guy's okay or whatever. Yeah. And then like
they send
two bad guys come in and they're like, hey, like we found you guys, and like, I mean, I know we fought most of our lives, but like I think we're on your side on this, and like we don't agree with it, and we figure, hey, if they're using bad guys, you guys could use bad guys too. And before they even like finish their sentence, they're just riddled with bullets.
You just see bullets fly.
And then like the next panel, like Captain America's like, what the fuck? And then like Frank Castle's standing there like, what? They're bad guys. Like he just like blew them away, like murdered them in front of everybody.
And they're like, no, like Goldbug and something. I don't remember.
They're not no-name heroes or bad guys. And then like Captain America just starts beating the shit out of the Punisher. And then like he's like, fight back, you coward, fight. And he's like, I will never fight against you, Cap, or whatever, because like that's the guy that that's his inspiration. It's Captain America, and he's a good guy, and he's never going to fight against Cap. So they kick Punisher out. It was a pretty fast friendship they had.
Yeah, one mission and it's over.
Yeah, and then
so they're. I'm just saying, from here, they're like, now their numbers are spreading thin. They're like, what are we going to do? So they send Sue to go, like, hey, you used to fuck Namor, right? Go talk to him and see if you can.
Yeah. Or something. He likes you.
Yeah, you have a relationship of some sort. Let's hopefully something is good there. Go talk to him and see if you can get him to join us. That would be really cool. And then, like, what about the X-Men? They're like, no, the X-Men aren't going to come help us because they wouldn't help Tony. They're going to be neutral. Not even Wolverine will break ranks. I remember them saying that specifically. So like they are being like pulled thin on all this. And, well, Cap's like, well, we got to figure this out. We gotta.
Yeah, we're gonna now that we have the plans on the Baxter building stuff, or like where the prison is and all that, we can like come to our final like battle. So like we'll free all our guys and then we'll fight them back or whatever. So they come up with a plan to free all their guys in the prison, because over this whole series, like more and more of their men have been getting captured anytime they go out and stuff. So like you said, they're thinned out. And so they use Cloak and I think Cable together to teleport or whatever into the nth prison.
Yeah. I think it's on Rikers Island is like that entrance or whatever. So
Yeah, it's on. There's a couple entrances in different areas. There's a Baxter Building one. There's because it's like another dimension. So if they just it's like a wormhole door that's everywhere where they want it to be.
So like we're gonna go to the least guarded one and
get there. So they do that, and they immediately like trip wires and stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
and they get caught.
And Spider-Man's like, oh no, something bad is about to happen.
And they open the door, and the guys are already staying there. Like Tony Stark sitting there. He's like, hey. You didn't think I would leave this unguarded, did you, or whatever, And so then, of course, they have like a big fight, and this is like a funny moment too, where all of a sudden Captain America yells, "Avengers, assemble!" And he like goes to fight, and he jumps at Tony, and then like Bishop goes, "I thought we were the Avengers," and then and so like he's on the bad guy or the government side, so it's funny. Each of them think they're in the right, kind of thing. So.
They start fighting and it's cool because they have like a moment of clarity and they're like, Tony Stark's like, haha, we knew you were coming, and Cap's like, haha, well actually we knew you were gonna be here too, because you're informing that you think that Tiger here, yeah, we knew about her.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Tigra. So Tigra's been with the Captain America side since the beginning, but then there's like when they steal the plans and like, okay, now we know how to break into the building. She like calls Tony. And it says like she pulls out a flip cell phone, and goes like Tony on the screen. Yeah.
And you can just barely tell it's her in the
So she's been a bad guy or like on the government side the whole time.
She's the mole.
She's the mole. But then Cap's like, we knew that about Tigra a long time ago, so like we've been feeding you bad information, and so check this shit out. And then like they just have a big old fight.
And we have a mole too. And so they look over and they're like, who? And then Hank Pym turns to Tony and is like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. And for a split second, you're like, oh, is Hank switching sides? Nope. It's Hulkling.
As Hank Pym.
He's like morphing back into Hulkling. He's like, nah, I've been. And like his voice changes everything too. And so they're like, oh, crap. And
how long have you been Hank?
Yeah. And Reader, someone turns to Tony. He's like, wait a minute. If he's been Hank this whole time, then he's been able to like voice, like activate and do. And they're like, what? And then that's like the big splash panel of all of the doors open on all the cells and all the heroes rejoin the fray.
Yeah. So all the ones that were captured are now freed because Hulkling can use Hank Pym's voice to let them all out. So then a big battle starts. This is like the final big epic battleness of this, and everybody's fighting, and then it looks like Cap's side is losing, and they're like, this is it. Like you should give up, Cap. Like you're losing. This is it. And then he's like, I don't know about that. And all of a sudden Namor comes in, and we should say like when Sue went to Namor. He was not happy that they like used her to like talk to him. He's like, if Cap wants me on his side, then fucking Cap should come and not use you because like we have this thing. He's like, he thinks I'm a weak man or something because that's why he sent you, not talking to me face to face. So he would like rejected Sue originally.
Yeah, that's what you see. And right before Namor shows up, Hill's like they're gonna trap all of the Avengers in there. They realize they're in this negative zone prison. They'll just trap them all there, and one of them realizes it, and so they tell Cloak like, hey, you have to pull all of us.
Yeah, basically she's like, we're gonna blow all the doors to this end zone, and then everybody will be trapped inside, and then we'll figure out what to do from there, I guess.
Yeah.
But then so they figure it out, and they're like, hey, Cloak, you have to teleport all of us, all 100 of us or whatever, out of this place.
Are you crazy?
Within like a minute or whatever it is. And so he does it, and then he teleports them to like the middle of the city of New York, I'm assuming.
But from like the sky.
Yeah, so they're all falling down into the city, and then
it's like flying Avengers help non-flying, and then they all kind of land and restart.
And then they all restart the battle. So now they're like in the middle of the city battling, causing explosions and buildings to fall and shit, and like then Cap starts beating the fuck out of Iron Man, to which I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Iron Man.
Well, it's because Cap plays dirty because Cap's like, Iron Man's like, what do you can't win this fight you see or whatever. Obviously, Cap's like, well, yeah, I can because I'm gonna play dirty this time too. And Vision is on Cap's side in the comic, and he like goes into Tony's like suit,
disables the suit.
Yeah.
So then he's beating the fuck out of Tony, which I was like, yes, good job. And then all of a sudden, because all these explosions are happening, all these city blocks are being demolished by this fight, and some regular humans like a cop and a paramedic and anybody standing by like jump onto Cap and like, stop it, like you're like killing people and stuff and all this. And so then Cap had he kind of freaks out and like has a moment of clarity.
Yeah, Cap's like seeing all of these things go on, and like it's like the Thor robot and some of the other robot heroes come and they're all fighting, but then like Hercules.
Oh, this is a badass moment. Hercules is like, how dare you pretend to be my friend Thor? And he gets like the fake Mjolnir hammer and he like goes up like as fast as he can to Thor and smashes his fucking head.
And like the robot head like just
but it's like half blood and half gut, like half circuits and stuff. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so like that it's destroyed and like Spider-Man gets like, tagged upon by like the Thunderbolts, the other ones like Venom and whatnot, but then Spider-Man's able to beat them off basically. So there's just all this other stuff going on, and Cap's like seeing like hero fighting hero, and now on top of this, we're in the middle of the city and we're doing the one thing we shouldn't be doing,
which is like hurting where the regular humans live.
Yeah.
We're here to protect them, not like fuck up their whole city block and maybe kill people or whatever. So he is like, stop it, and then he like basically is like, I give up, I surrender. So he surrenders, and that's what stops all this. So everybody,
he takes off his mask. He's like, they're not arresting Captain America, they're arresting Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Like,
so he gives up, and I guess all the other heroes get arrested too. They don't really show them like getting rounded up too much or anything, but like Cap gets arrested, so you assume they're all like that. And then,
so they go through the rest of the initiative, like all the heroes.
Oh yeah, everything. Yeah, basically the government does get what they want. Like they're like, okay, like all the heroes get like the ones that were on the government side get like stationed in a city in a town, and
which is great. Cap was right in this. Like,
yeah, I was very mad when Cap gave up, but I guess it makes sense as far as Cap's morals go.
Yeah,
but I was like, you're fucking right, Cap. Don't do it. And then, or at least the other people. Like, Punisher, take over. Like, take these fuckers out, especially Tony. Shoot him in the fucking head. But, yeah, I was like, I didn't like that at all. And then, so this is what we were saying, like, felt the weird, like, I wonder if this lady's bad or something. The kid, the mom of the kid that died from, like, the beginning that's been, like, in Tony Stark's ear the whole time. She's shown up throughout this, like, randomly, like, when Tony, like, feels like, are we doing the right thing? And she's like, yes, Tony.
Yeah, you are.
Remember my son, my dead son. He died.
Yeah, and this is weird because, like, so Tony's made head of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. now. And
he tells Maria to, like, get him coffee and shit. He's like, hey, Hill, you got some good coffee in there? Why don't you give me and this lady a cup or whatever? And she's all pissed off.
Yeah, but he brought the civilian...
Into
random
S.H.I.E.L.D.
lady that just it's her son died and it's horrible, but
yeah, isn't this like a level 5 clearance area or something?
Why is she there?
And he's telling her stuff like, oh, we're doing this and that, and like now we can't just let anybody know all the secret identities of the supers, and like, why is he telling her any of this? Like, this is secret classified information probably, right? Like, and then, so that's why I thought she's got to be a Skrull. And for those of you who don't know, the events after Civil War was called Secret Invasion. And it's about these, they were from, the Skrulls were in Captain Marvel's movie.
Yeah.
So, like, they're like shape-changing bad aliens, or they are in the comic usually.
Yeah.
And
they kind of were good in the movie.
Yeah, but in the comic, they're generally bad, at least for a while. And so, so in the Secret War or Secret Invasion, they like are like planted all over the place.
Yeah, either somewhere here during Civil War, and then some have come after. It's pretty wild.
So I thought she was like a Skrull, and they were going to reveal that to like lead into Secret Invasion, but they did not. And he was just like, "Yeah, lady, I get manipulated by. It is weird. Why don't you step with me and look at the sunset?
everything's gonna work out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then like it ends with just them like looking at the sunset, and it's
The end was that like if it ended on Cap and like just everything passing, you'd be like, oh man, that was heart wrenching. But then there was this little extra like, what the fuck?
yeah.
Like,
So I don't know if I wanted them to like allude that she was evil. That meant that would mean that Tony Stark was fucking wrong and he was being manipulated by this, and then it would have like a definitive answer who was right and who was wrong. But they probably wanted to leave it up in the air too, because people who like Iron Man are going to be on Iron Man's side, and people who like Cap are going to be on Cap's side, and people who like Punisher are going to want everybody dead. So so yeah. So that's the main story. The big breakdown of it. What'd you think of this one?
oh, I loved it. I rereading it again. Like I very much was like, oh man, this is what me getting back into comics. This is what I remember. This is badass.
Yeah, I felt like this was. I wasn't sure how this was gonna be, and then, like would it hold up? And then it didn't. It totally did. I was surprised. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna read one issue this morning or whatever. Not this morning, but like when I was gonna read it, and then. I just read all 7 because I was like, this is fucking fantastic. I felt like I was watching a TV show. Like it just was so good. And that's a kind of rare thing for an event nowadays, I think.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So what would you give this one, John?
I loved it. To me, it was. I'm not going to put it in your terms, but like to me, this reinvigorated my love for reading comics when I got back into comics initially, and this. Just, I mean, made me like love Captain America again. It just reminded me of everything that I remembered as a kid and more. So this Civil War is a 9 for me.
A 9. Wow, that's a high one. I think
it's near. If the ending had been a little more definitive, one way or another. I mean, preferably Cap's way, but one way or another, it probably would have been a 10. But that's the only reason I'm not giving it a 10.
That's true. That's true. I think as far as events go, this is the event that really was the game changer, where all of a sudden Marvel was like, holy shit, like if we do this really well, we can make a bunch of money. So let's do it 4 more times a year and make it shitty or whatever, So like I don't know what they're doing now. I've heard some of their newer events aren't as good.
Yeah, I heard the second Civil War was
a flop or whatever.
Yeah.
So and then whatever they're doing now, there's like one called Empire, and there's one called Powers or 10 of Swords or something that has to do with X-Men, and I don't know. There's a bunch of weird shit going on now, but there's like multiple ones a year, which I'm like, just stick to one max a year. It's kind of like a season of TV or something. Like have a big bad that all your titles tie into maybe eventually, but the story itself can, breathe on its own. It doesn't have to have the other stories to be in it. This was like so well done. So yeah, I think I'm going to give this an 8 because it's not because it's like a teen book, right? It like it's kind of like this is definitely like a movie book, like it's a popcorn one or whatever, But like the art was, you know what? I changed my mind. It's a fucking 9. I'm with you, John. It's a 9 because
the art is
everything about this is good. The writing is fantastic. The art is fantastic.
Just a point on the art, even on some of the really big like stories that are well known and loved that we've gone over, there's a lot of panels where they'll go in kind of like not all the art is on the same par. Some of it is like It's in the shadows a little more. Even I get Batman, but like it's in the shadows or it's not quite defined. Every one of these is defined, and every page looks wonderful.
You can tell that Steve McNiven was like, this is a big, big thing that everybody's going to buy and see. I'm going to give my all on this. And also, I like that it was 7 issues, not 6. I felt like it gave it time, like room to breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel rushed in any spots. I didn't feel like the story, like in Infinity Gauntlet, there was like parts where I was like, wow, like you couldn't settle anywhere, just cut to the next thing or whatever. And like, I don't know, like this had enough time because they made it 7 issues to like let the parts that were supposed to be hard hitting, like Goliath's death or Thor being a robot or Sue Storm leaving, hit hard, and then pay off, on most of the stuff. The only thing that didn't pay off was being a definitive answer to who was right and who was wrong.
And it's probably more of a conscious choice. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, because the whole thing of this was like, whose side are you on? Like, it was like, you, the reader, who do you like more? Who do you agree with? So, yeah, like I said, if you like Cap, you're on Cap's side probably. So, and we both were, I believe.
Yes.
We would have been fighting side by side with Cap on this one. So, and me with Punisher probably, but whatever. So yeah, I give it a 9. You give it a 9. I think that pretty much wraps it up for this one. Next week we are going to do Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, which is Frank Miller original graphic novel of Daredevil. So if you guys want to get it spoiled by us, or you want to read it beforehand and just hear our thoughts on it, check it out. And on that note, if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email me at planes, trains, and comic books, all one word, at gmail.com.
Don't forget to comment as well. And check out our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube for exclusive content. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Got a lot of fun stuff coming out. So I guess we'll see you on the next one.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.